Alright class, today we're doing 5.1 day 2. Again, we did the what is it called? Systems of equations on the last video. So today all we're doing is we are taking that and putting that to word problems. So let's start and do that. The sum of two numbers is 48. The sum of the smaller number is 12 less than the larger number. What are these numbers? So the first thing you should always do is identify your variables. So I'm going to say that x is my larger number and y is my smaller number. Very, very critical to identify and know what your variables are, what you're looking for. Okay. Then you have to come up with a kind of a equation here that models what they're telling you. We have the sum of two numbers is 48, and hopefully all you guys out there know that that is adding. So that means that if I add x and y together, I get 48. And it says the smaller number, which is y, is 12 less than the larger number. So if I write that, that's saying the smaller number y is equal 12 less than the larger number. So I have x minus 12. I'm taking away 12 from the larger number. Okay, so that is basically it. Now you just solve a system. You can RREF as in reduced row echelon form if you want. However, this one's perfectly set up for substitution, and hopefully you see that. So I'm going to sub in x minus 12 into that y, so I get x plus x minus 12 equals 48. I get 2x. If I add the 12 over, I get 60. So I find out that my x is 30. So my larger number is 30. I plug that back into this one. I get y is equal to 30 minus 12. So y is equal to 18. So my two numbers for this problem are 30 and 18. And again, you can always check by adding them together to make sure they added 48 and subtracting to make sure the difference is 12. Okay? Alright, let's keep going. Merchandise company makes graphic t-shirts for $10 each and embroidered t-shirts for $15 each. That is a mouthful, that word. Company made a total of 25 on an order of 165 total t-shirts. How many were graphic and how many were embroidered? Well, this kind of tells you what your variables should be. I'm going to say x is graphic and y is embroidered. I'm not even going to try to spell that. I'll just do that. Embroidered. So usually with these problems, you've done these in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. You have an equation that deals with the quantity. So we know the total amount, x plus y, has to equal 165 total shirts. And then we have a second equation that's usually the money. So we know that each graphic tee was $10, each embroidered tee was 15, and that we earned 25. Okay? So now what we're going to do is get our augmented matrix and put it into RREF. I'm going to use that in this case because it's nice and set up for that, and we're dealing with bigger numbers. So why not? So remember, this one's called the augmented matrix, the one that you write down first. Then the reduced row echelon form one is the one you get when you type it into the calculator. Okay? And when you type this in, you get 1090 and 0175. Alright, which means that there are 90 graphic tees, because that's what x was, and 75 embroidered tees. Okay? So again, you could pause the video to try that out on your excuse me, wow. You can try to do that on your own by pausing the video, because I'm going to keep going. But you should be able to do that calculator work by now. If you don't know how to do that, please watch the previous video. Alright, Bill and Ted. And many of you guys probably have no idea where that's from, but that is from a movie. They went on an excellent adventure and then a bogus journey. Check it out if you have a chance. By the end of the day, they go bird watching. By the end of the day, they've seen 30 birds. Bill has seen twice as many as Ted. Oh, by the way, one of the common errors I see, a lot of people try to combine both equations right away at once. Write out the two equations. I'm going to say B is for Bill and T is for Ted. Okay, so we know the number of birds Bill and Ted both see together is 30. That's the first equation. Don't try to meld the second one where it says Bill had seen twice as many birds as Ted. Don't try to do that until after you write that equation down. Bill has seen 2 times the amount of Ted's birds. So that would be B equals 2T. Now we have another case of, what's it called? Substitution. Instead of B, I'm going to put 2T. So I get 2T plus T equals 30. 3T equals 30, which means T equals 10. And if T equals 10, B equals 2 times 10 or 20. So Bill saw 20 birds and Ted saw 10. Okay, again, pause your screen right now if you want to write all that down. But again, hopefully you guys see that was just a simple substitution. We do not need to RREF that one. And it makes sense. They did 30 and one saw twice as many as the other. Alright, last problem for the day. A total of $100,000 is invested. So you have $100,000 laying around. You want to invest it into 2 bonds. One bond pays out 5% interest, one pays out 2.5. In a real world, you would probably do all of it in the 5%, but we want to practice systems, so maybe there's a cap on how much you could put on the 5%. I don't know. So anyway, let's say that X is the amount invested. There needs to be an N there. Amount invested in the 5%, and Y is the amount that you invest in the 2.5%. We know that the amount invested in one and the amount invested in the other has to equal my $100,000, because that's how much money I have to invest. Now, to calculate interest, we know the interest will come out to be $35,12.50. That's our interest. To calculate interest, you have to pay the amount you put in by the percent. So because X is for the 5% interest one, we're going to do 0.05X. And since Y is the 2.5%, we're going to go 0.025Y. And there's my setup. This is a classic case of doing reduced row echelon form. So I'm going to RREF. I don't even know if that's a thing, saying it that way, but it sounds good. We're going to do this for this one. Write out our augmented matrix. Okay, and then you are going to get an answer. And you should get 40,500 on top and 5950 on bottom. So you invest $40,500 in the 5% bond, and you invest $59,500 in the 2.5% bond. And that's it. So these are all just systems, setting them up by the words. That's all we have for today. I have no clue what music track I picked. You might be listening to salsa, you might be listening to pop, you might be listening to country. I don't know. We'll see. But until next time.